shit. All right, go ahead, bro.
We camped down here in GMS Tampa Bay. We want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double and self apostle, the great millstone, and taught us his truth, and that rule well. And peace, love, and blessings, and much respect to you brothers out of pushing this truth in all sincerity and faith and honesty, and also blessings to you few sisters out there listening and learning. All right? And, you know, as I said, man, you know, the title, you know, we're pretty much going to get into it. Yahweh Shai came, all right, pretty much to fulfill, all right, all things that were written, whether it be the law and the prophecies, man, as it's written. And we're just going to get right into it. We're going to start out in the book of Mark, all right?
This is St. Mark 1:40. St. Mark 1:40. And there came a leper to him, beseeching him.
And this is Yahweh Shai, man. There came a leper to Yahweh Shai begging him. All right, go ahead.
Hey, can I start 39?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mark 1:39. And he preached in their synagogues throughout all Galilee and cast out devils. And there came a leper to him.
So yeah, hey, this is Yahweh Shai, man. That's why his fame went out to all the world, because why he was casting out devils, okay, healing people. All right.
His works.
Yeah.
His works. You know, they call it rumors. You know, gossip, so to say. You know, that shit spreads quick.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when when his miraculous works like the Lord did.
And they say word of mouth, that's the quickest way things, you know, get around.
Right, and that shit now, the fame, the Lord said, we don't get fame in the land that we were, put to shame. Hey, now you got the internet. That's gonna quicken, the spread of the miracles even quicker now. You know?
True networking, you know. Go ahead, Al.
St. Mark 1:40. And there came a leper to him, beseeching him, and kneeling down to him, and saying unto him, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. Yahweh Shai moved with compassion, put forth his hand, and touched him, and said unto him, I will, be thou clean. And as soon as he had spoken, immediately the leprosy departed from him, and he was cleansed.
Fine. And what? He believed that Yahweh Shai could do that. You know what I mean? He begged me, beseeched me, heal me, because why? I just said in the prior verse that he was he heard, casting out devils. So had compassion. So they heard. So only way that was possible, all right, for that healing to take place is, first off, the man believed that Yahweh Shai could heal him.
He believed that was the Messiah.
That's right.
And that shows you the power that he has, even above the Levitical priesthood, which we're going to get, the whole process of that goes back to the law. That wasn't done instantly like what's done to that man.
It took a process.
Exactly. You had to put him out the camp, and check him again. But this happened instantly, man.
Yeah.
Imagine that. This man was a leper. He had pale skin. He was an albino, so you can understand. And this man instantly received his pigment, man. Yeah. Imagine that.
Hey, it's a spirit. I picked up one of them motherfuckers the other day.
Red eyes.
He had blue eyes.
Red, okay.
And he was just completely just wasted away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he sounded just like a Jake. Yeah, see, brother, like I'm like, damn. I look back at him like,
that's an unclean leper. But you got clean lepers, which is Esau. You know, you can touch Esau, but unclean lepers, you're not even supposed to touch them. You know, it's a disease. It's a sin. You know, it's a sin. That's why. Well, keep on. You know, go ahead.
St. Mark 1:43. And he straightly charged him, and forthwith sent him away, and saith unto him.
This is the point. And after he healed him, listen what he say unto him.
And saith unto him, see thou say nothing to any man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing those things which Moses commanded for a testimony.
Which was what? What did Moses command? The law.
The law.
It was that, a lot of people call it the law of Moses.
Yep.
But the law was given through Moses,
And that was the Levite.
Exactly.
It says, for a testimony unto them.
So where did Yahweh Shai get that from? All you people that like to say, hey, you know, we only supposed to worship the Father. You know,
He did away with the law.
the Old Testament Israelites, you know, that didn't believe Yahushua actually came back and, like brother said, did away with the law. Why did this Yahushua tell this man, all right, to go offer up a pretty much offering to the priest? Well, we finna find out.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 14, starting at verse 1.
And like the brother said, there's a whole process to cleaning the leper. All right, we just gonna read the first 2 verses and jump down to the 19th verse. But if you read 1, all right, all the way through to the end, it's a whole process, man. Bring a dove, do this, do that, and another 7 days cleanse him, then shave his head, and it's a whole process. But as the brother said, you know what I mean, that was done instantly. You know, so he was given power over. All right, he was a high priest. You know, he was a high priest.
He is the high priest.
You know.
Because you would have a high priest of Levi, but it goes to show you Yahushua is over that.
Yeah. No, Melchizedek.
Exactly.
Melchizedek.
The first high priest.
Yeah.
You know?
Go ahead.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 14, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper.
Yep, a law of the leper. We just read in Mark how a leper came to him, beseeching him, begging him to be healed. Go ahead.
In the day of his cleansing.
So Yahushua didn't go here and say, all right, let me read this. All right, I got to do this to him and do that to him. No, man, Yahushua was given power on earth to forgive people of sins, as was going to, as the brother stated, man. All right, because that's a sin to look that way. So Yahushua was given power on earth, all right, to forgive men of them sins. All right, that man sinned. Okay, so that's why he was healed. Because why? He was forgiven of sins through Yahushua that was given the power onto him by the Heavenly Father, man. All right.
Reading on, he shall be brought unto the priest.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping down to verse 19.
Yep.
And the priest shall offer the sin offering.
Yep.
And make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanness.
So Yahushua, being that priest, told him to go, hey, go offer that offering unto the priest, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then that's because read that again in Mark, because he said that, you know, to confound the priests, man. You know, to confound those that were, you know, in authority, so to say, but weren't really practicing what they preached. You know, he said them to go confound them. Because here, they know this man was a leper. Now he's gonna come and give an offering as if they
who healed you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know. Go ahead, read it again, because it says it's in there.
Mark 1 and you want me to start?
44. I think it was
Straight to the point. St. Mark 1 and 44. And saith unto him, See thou say nothing to any man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing those things which Moses commanded for a testimony unto them.
See, for a testimony unto them.
Straight to him.
Like, oh, man.
And that's a statement to show, like, yo, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You know how somebody make a statement, like, yo, I'm here.
And that's why he said,
like,
don't say
oh my
nothing.
God.
Don't tell them how it happened. Just go take an
Yeah.
offering over there.
Yeah. That's how you make a statement. Yahushua made a statement when he did that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I'm here. Like, oh, who healed you? We the only ones that have the ability and you know, we the priests. So who did it? How was this able? That's why they start saying he casting out devils in the name of Beelzebub, man. They was hating on him, man.
They were
envious of him, you know?
It's really all the things that the temple and all the sacrifice, all that pertain to the Levites. But here comes, you know, Yahushua from a whole different tribe. You know, it shows you the power, man. He shows the power because, like the brother quoted, you know, he's been given the power to forgive sins on earth. You know.
I had a precept.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 24. I read 8 and 9. Deuteronomy 24 and 8. Take heed in the plague of leprosy that thou observe diligently, and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you, as I command them, so ye shall observe to do. This is point verse 9. Remember what the Lord Yahweh thy power did unto Miriam by the way, after that ye were come forth out of Egypt.
Exactly. What did Aaron say? They not descend upon us, man. We're going to show you that's why the man had to make a sacrifice, because you know he was atoning for atone for his sins through that sacrifice, you know, the offering.
Real quick, if I can say, you know, what the Heavenly Father did Yahweh was he healed Miriam of leprosy, you know, like that. You know, again, there wasn't a process. You know, so remember what Yahweh did onto Miriam, which was
That's heavy.
forgave her sin, you know, on the earth. It wasn't no
Show
process.
you how shot he gave, how
Came
shot
in
that same, that
exactly.
same,
That was-
yep, that same power. Come on.
Hey, real quick, to add on, that's why Yahweh Shai said, I know that the Lord is always with me because I do the things that please him, man.
Come on.
So he knew that the Lord was with him because he came in that same stead. This is my beloved son, and listen, hearken unto him. So he had that, he was directly linked to the Heavenly Father.
And that's why you have to go through him to get to the Most High.
That's right. One mediator.
That's it, man. You know, Yahushua, as it's written, Yahushua gave all judgments unto his son, man.
Yeah, 'cause some people will tell you, well, now since Yahushua came, or Jesus, as they call him, they'll say, oh, well, it was about faith now. That's the Old Testament. You gotta keep that. Well, wait a minute. The Lord's telling people to keep the law.
Yeah.
He was himself keeping the law.
Yeah.
So you telling me he did all those things just so you don't have to keep the law? So you can willingly break the law? No. Like in Romans 3:31, it says, so what? Well, let me get it real quick. It talks about faith, but that's the go-to. That's the go-to word that people like to go and say. You know, this is Romans 3:31. It says, "Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yeah, we establish the law." So you know, the faith doesn't make void the law, right? It doesn't. You know, it just faith. It covers you. You know, through the faith, the blood of Yahushua will cover you when you sin unwillingly. You know, or if you slip up. But that don't mean you can just go have a free for all, do whatever you want. That's a demonic spirit.
Yep.
That's the spirit of what is it, Bacchus or whatever they call
Do as
it.
thou wilt.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun, party, and fuck it. Jesus died for me. No, that's not what the Lord died for, man.
And go show you they don't know him.
Exactly.
Because they would have ran across that and they would have been like, oh shit, well, why would he tell this man that they don't know the Bible, bro? That's pretty much, they don't know the Heavenly Father nor His Son, man. They don't know these words. That's pretty much why people come up with these doctrines and commandments of man instead of thoroughly reading these scriptures, all right? Magnifying through the word and truth, they don't know.
I got
you
another
know?
quick one. This is like the brother said, they don't know him. This is John. This is right out of the Bible, out of the Messiah's mouth. This is John 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
But go ahead, get.
Yeah, oh my God, I got Matthew's up front.
Is Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I have come. I read again. Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I have come not to destroy, but fulfill. So and the Lord came instead to fulfill the will of the Father. That's what He's always been establishing at the beginning. I do this in the name of my Father who has sent me. You know, so going into the law and the prophets, you know, the prophets represent prophecy. You know, the Lord came to fulfill prophecy. And going to the law, you know, brother read in Romans, the Lord came to fulfill, and, you know, to establish. You know, so everything that is talked about in the Old Testament, Yahushua established. You know, that He didn't come in no new doctrine. This is ultimately Him coming to fulfill the will of His Father.
Hey, no, go ahead.
Because ultimately, you know, there was a change as far as you know, the way we go about things now. But He didn't come to do away with the law. You know, because he offered up that sacrifice himself as that perfect sacrifice. But we're still to keep the laws to the best of our abilities, man. He didn't just come and do away with it. All right. Because ultimately, what He did, He made all of us priests. You know. That's why we all minister. You know, we all do things. We all offer up sacrifices as you know ourselves. All right. So the Lord just came so we could go about things differently, because clearly the old covenant wasn't working. They were breaking it, and that's why He was the mediator for that new covenant. So when we get the new bodies, you know, that's the new covenant where He came for that transition. You know, to start the transition. That's what we've been going through for these last 2,000 years.
Yeah. Hey, and we was all likened to being unclean, man. You know, going back to the Mark 1 and 40 again, as far as Yahushua cleaning the leper. If you a leper, mean you were unclean. So we were all likened unto lepers at one point in time. But as we said, there's a process between a man being healed. So that's us. It's said about washing in the water and cleaning himself. That's us being. That process taking place through us being in His Word, reading His Word, being washed every day, man. The washing of the water, which is Yahushua, man. So there's no way around it, right? Get that in John 6:38 real quick.
This is the book of John, chapter 6, Verse 38. For I came down from heaven not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me.
And what was the will of him that sent him is that all Israel would keep his law, statutes, commandments. So the Lord came down to do that, and then to do the will that the Father sent him on. Yahweh sent Yahushua on a mission, man. All right, to be what that ultimate sacrifice, the last sacrifice. That's why Yahushua told that man that was leprous to go sacrifice take the offering unto the priest, because what he hadn't did that sacrifice, he hadn't been that perfect sacrifice just yet. So the law was still intact, so to say. All right, the law was still it was mandatory, the law of sacrifice anyway, until Yahushua was to be on that cross, you know. So that was a mission that the Lord sent him on. You know, that was the will of the Heavenly Father. Okay, and that's why he lived perfectly. He was a perfect lamb, unblemished. So what? As an example, to show you that it's possible in the flesh. You know, but you just gotta have the Spirit on you to do it, and that's what the new covenant consists of, man. The Spirit being 100% on you, the law is in you. That was Yahushua, man. You know that he was the forerunner of what's to come. You know,
to do it in this.
Exactly.
Oh my God, bro! That dude was on another level.
You know, he had lust. He had, he was in the flesh. He probably seen, he had his likes, dislikes, but what he still did it.
Exactly.
He was still perfect.
He was able to.
And that's our motivation right there, man. You know, we know we're not gonna do it right now, our flesh, because we're not Yahushua, but we know exactly. We know it's possible, and that's what we strive after, man.
Hey, I was talking to one of y'all brothers the other day. I was like, Yahushua came and did it, and he showed us that it's possible to be done. Because if something was impossible, why would you go after it? You like, no, nobody ever done that before. But Yahushua, that guy, to show us that it's possible, that's what give us that hope that, hey, this can be done. But it's all through the faith, of going about it, of course, but it's possible,
That's why we're made perfect through his blood, which was offered up. Like when the priest would do sacrifices, the blood was used for something, man. They would sprinkle it on the coals or on the fire. The whole sacrifice would be used. The fat, the stomach, the heart, whatever, the blood, and then ultimately that's what Yahushua was. He was that ultimate sacrifice, and all of it was for our benefit, man. Down to the nails that were put through his hands and his feet,
To every strike that he took, every tidbit, man,
that was first for his sins, but then for the rest of the nation, man. The whoopings he took, Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead,
The point is 23 and 24 is heavy. Hebrews 12 and 22. I'm sorry, Hebrews 12 and 23, they're both heavy. It says, to the general assembly of the church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to the Most High, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. So like the brother said, we know we ain't going to be able to keep the whole law perfect, but we're just because of our faith. So that's why the scriptures say the just shall live by their faith. And what we're being made perfect through what? Our sacrifice, man. The sacrifice that we're giving is our body. And that's why what 24 says, into Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, into the blood of the sprinkling, that speaking better things than that of Abel.
I remember there was a time where I think it was Aaron that he sprinkled the blood over Israel. Well, that's Yahushua now. Now his blood's been sprinkled over us. Well, the elect anyway. And ultimately all of Israel. But at the end of the day, they still gonna get a reward. They still gonna get the kingdom of heaven. They just gotta die, and then that's why I said they shall know by death, by pain. They're gonna know what we know, but they gotta die first.
Hebrews 7 and 11.
Start at 11.
It's Hebrews 7 and 11 says, if therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law.
That's under the Levitical priesthood. That's where when the law came, right? When the Levites were the priests. Go ahead.
What further need was there that any priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron?
Because the high priest came out of Aaron's lineage, Go ahead, though. That's what I said, because like we said earlier, Melchizedek was that first high priest, but that was before Israel was even born.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's saying, well, you know, why would somebody
Abraham
have,
gave his tents to
exactly before when they said that he was in the loins
Yeah.
of Abraham still,
Yeah.
that Levi was, you know.
Yeah.
So he really Levi paid tribute unto the first high priest, man.
Melchizedek, yeah.
Melchizedek,
That's
yeah.
right.
So it's saying, you know, why would somebody else have to come after the order of Melchizedek, which Yahushua came after the order of Melchizedek, and if you can receive it, he was Melchizedek. And so you know that's a question being posed. Go ahead.
It says, for the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law.
So the priesthood being changed,
Exactly.
then the law has to be changed. So say, and that's where the end of the sacrifices come, because if the priesthood is no longer with Levi, they still had that spirit on them, you know. But look, you ain't the only priest no more.
Exactly.
You know.
Yep.
But now it's the Lord. That's why the Lord said He gonna make us a nation of kings and priests.
Exodus what, 19?
19:6.
And that's what you see out here, you know, from all different tribes. You see priests out there, man, prophesying this word. You know, we're you know, Lord's over those, man, we're multiple things. We're prophets, priests, okay, kings.
Yeah.
You know, but
They come too, and another thing is heavy. Remember the split between Jeroboam and Rehoboam, and it said he set up the lowest of the tribes to be priests, like Gadites and so on and so forth. It wasn't a time at that point in time. You know what I mean? Because he would kick the Levites out, and then he would set up men of the other tribes and try to have them. It said something like lesser.
yeah, they
lesser
were being
something.
priests to like demons.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying, but
Yeah,
it wasn't.
he was making
It just
them
wasn't
priests,
that time. But
Exactly.
it was. He set them up to be priests and kicked out the Levites. But it just wasn't that time yet. Yahushua had to initiate that. You know what I mean?
The sacrifice of Yahushua
Exactly, yeah.
is what
Initiated,
changed it.
yeah.
You know, what changed the priesthood.
Can I get something for you?
Go ahead.
Revelations 1 and 5, point 6 says, and Yahushua, who is the faithful witness, and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto the Most High, and his Father, unto power and his Father, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
He also again his blood, right? You know and that's part of the law too. You know, using the blood of the sacrifice. Yeah. You know. Go ahead, though.
I'm back in verse 13. Hebrews 7:13. It says, for he of whom these things are spoken pertained to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which the tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
That's why, you know, he sent that leprous man to go give that offering, because, you know, I'm sure because he would tell people that all the time. Don't tell nobody. You know, go that way. But you know, ultimately, you know, I'm sure he said something. Man, yeah, this such and such healed me. And then what? They're gonna be like, what? He's not even a priest. He's not a Levite. You know. Go ahead, though.
Verse 15, it says, and it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arises another priest, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. For he testified, thou art the priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Alright? It says, for this is very a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law was made nothing perfect, but the bringing it in of a better hope did, by the which he drew nigh unto the Most High, man. Okay, so that faith, man. And going back again, that's what made Abraham perfect or righteous, through his faith, man. Okay? Through his faith.
Wholeheartedly believing in Yahweh.
Exactly.
Wholeheartedly believing, you know, that he would establish him as that great nation that he promised him as the stars of heaven. Although he would have to, you know, perish, you know, and come back in his lot, but the Lord ultimately established him, man, through the promise, man. And that's why the scriptures say, if you were, Yahushua said, if you were of Abraham, if Abraham was your father, then what? You would believe, you would be of the seed of promise, the seed, you know, have faith.
Yep.
You know, and that's the problem with Jake, man. Jake don't have faith in the scriptures at all.
Yep. And that's ultimately why the Lord never, got rid of us. You know, because check this out. After the promise, exactly. Because if that's the case, we would have been the Lord. If it was all wholly about the law, then it would make void that promise. See what I'm saying?
That's why Moses threw it back at his face, but when the Most High wanted to get rid of Israel, Moses was like, whoa, what about the promises?
Yeah, the promises, exactly. Because he wanted to get rid of them because why? They was breaking the law.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then what? That promise kicked in. So, bam, Hey, you had that precept. Get up.
Oh yeah, yes. This is
Yeah, to go with Matthew 5.
this is
Go ahead.
this is 1 Peter 2 verse 5. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 5. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices.
Yeah, because that's what. Hey, going back to what the brother said. Because after Yahushua died, there was no need to go to the priest and offer up a sacrifice. Why? Because Yahushua was that worthy sacrifice. All right, that well-pleasing sacrifice. So now what it is, that's how it changed. Because now what we have, it's spiritual now. We have to offer up our bodies as that living sacrifice, as did Yahushua. So we pretty much we spiritually following after the walks of Yahushua. Yahushua physically offered up his body. So what? We have to be spiritual and spiritually offer up ourselves. Because as you say, we are dead, pretty much, but our lives are our hid with Yahushua. You know what I mean? Roughly paraphrasing.
I got it real quick, precept, because all that, for the old man died with Yahushua. Even though we weren't, we were born at that time, but all these times we come back over and repented, all that was covered already. You just didn't know, of course. Colossians real quick. Read that again, Dr. Shaw, that verse you just read.
This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 5. And it reads, ye also as lively stones, right? Because Yahushua is the chief cornerstone.
Yep. And it's the third temple.
Right, which is the house of David, the building of the husband, especially ye are the Most High's building, you are the Most High's husbandry, are built a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Yahweh by Yahushua Mashiach.
So here's the precept I look for. It says, this is Colossians 2. I'm going to start at 12. It says, buried with him in baptism, wherein also you are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High, who had raised him from the dead. It's like the Lord did us. We were raised from the dead. Remember, because we were dead before this truth. The valley of dry bones, you was part of them, them dead bones. All right? It says, verse 13, and you being dead in your sins, and the uncircumcision of your flesh, hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances, which what was the law, that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross, to his cross. There you go. So that the Lord knew because really the law, it's not that it's against us, but he's using that as a metaphor because we can't keep it because of the flesh. You're constantly battling. Like the Lord said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So you're constantly, your flesh is constantly fighting against the spirit. The spirit wants to keep the law, but your flesh is contrary to it. That's the point I wanted to get to.
So we were given a perfect law, but unperfect bodies. You know what I mean? So that's why you have that contrast with the law. It's beautiful, man. You clearly see, if you spiritual and you have that understanding, you can clearly see that these laws are perfect, man. But we're not.
It's the ways of life.
Exactly.
If you keep the law, if everybody was to keep the law perfectly, this earth would be in complete harmony.
Yes.
And that's how the kingdom's gonna be. That's why the Lord's gonna put it in us. And then we're gonna teach the other nations. But as far as the rulers, All right, they're gonna have the laws in them, you know. So by default, the kingdom, the earth is gonna be run and governed in a righteous way.
Go ahead.
This is an account in Matthew 17. Matthew 17. I'll start at verse 3 and I'll run through it. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with them. And Peter then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make thee 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him.
Because what? Moses and Elias, it was Elijah, they represented the law and the prophets. All right, but what the Lord, Yahweh said, look, listen to him, listen to Yahweh, you know.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
Right. Verse 6, and when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Yahushua came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. Verse 8, last one. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Yahushua only.
Yep. That's plain right there.
You don't listen to anybody, listen to Yahushua.
They didn't listen to Moses. What? Now you want like these Old Testament Israelites? Oh, they didn't listen to Moses thousands of years ago. You think they're gonna listen to Moses now? You think they're gonna listen to the prophets now? No, man. You gotta listen to the Messiah, the one the Redeemer, okay, the mediator of the new covenant. The old covenant didn't work, okay. The old contract, all right. That's why the Lord came to be the mediator for the new covenant, man. Go ahead and because you gotta have a lawyer when you get into doing the high level contracts. You gotta have a lawyer most of the time. Like you selling the fucking Wells Fargo building, you're gonna have a lawyer there, all right?
Because ultimately, Yahushua is the one that's going to save us. Moses didn't save us. Elias didn't save us. Yahushua is the one sent by his Father who actually he was saved. He was going to save us.
He was the one that sacrificed himself. Not even but there was martyrs throughout the scriptures, but Yahushua is that that sacrifice. But you got something. Now go back to Hebrews.
Kind of real quick. 2nd Ezra 7 and 59. For this is the life where Moses spake unto the people while he lived, saying, Choose thee life that thou mayest live. This is the point, verse 60. Nevertheless, they believe not him, nor yet the prophets after him. No, nor me which have spoken unto them. So they didn't believe Moses, they didn't believe the prophets, and they didn't believe the Most High who actually spoke to them, man. So how much more us, man? So that's why the scriptures say in Ezekiel 33, all right, then shall they know that the prophets were among them. All right, that actually foretold them of these things, man. Who the voice of the Lord was actually speaking through in these last days.
And it makes so much sense, man. It's like we say, don't throw common sense out the window. The Heavenly Father is a king, man. Okay, so why would he not set up his son to have his son do all that work? He just gonna sit back on the throne. You think the Most High finna be here doing all this leg work and grunt work? No, man, he's a king. So he gonna set his son up, the so-called, run a business, so to say. I'm gonna set him up, I'm gonna teach him everything, I'm gonna give him everything. And it's gonna be his job, and even his son has servants underneath him. Right. Just like, bro, it all makes perfect sense that the Most High will set up his son to run this thing while he sit back as the king he is, and just sit back and just
the Lord
allow his son to do business.
Yahushua, he gave him all authority on earth, man. But he's still taking orders from the Most High.
Exactly.
That's like the owner of a big corporation. What they set up the board and all that, the CEO. But there's always somebody above that, and that's the Most High, man.
Sit back, just calling the shots.
Exactly, yeah. Calling the shots, and then he say, hey, well, you made the call, insert. You don't always got to come to me, but make the right call because ultimately it's going to come back to me. That's what the authority that Yahushua has been given on the earth.
Back in Hebrews 7:20 it says, and as much as not without an oath he was made priest. For those priests were made without an oath. But this oath was an oath by him that said unto him, The Lord swear and will not repent. Thou art the priest forever after order of Melchizedek. But so much was Yahushua made a surety of a better testament.
Which is a new contract, man.
Con.
A new covenant.
Yep. It says, and then notice it said a better.
And remember
Yeah.
that the first covenant was through what? The priesthood.
Yep.
Right? They're the ones that did the ceremonies. Okay? Now it's all the tribes because of the elect, you know. Go ahead.
And it said a better testament. So I mean, it didn't so-called on the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the Old Testament was good, but this is just better. That's all. You know, because the law gonna be in our
2.0,
inward parts.
you know?
Yeah, that's all. You know, it didn't say, oh, that other one was
Upgrade,
just
yeah.
terrible. Oh, we regret that we made it. No, it's just, hey, this is just a better one. You know, it says, and they truly were many priests because they were not suffered to continue by the reason of death. But this man, because he continued ever, hath an unchangeable priesthood.
So what the priesthood, the ancient, you know, the Levitical priesthood, there was a bunch of priests. You had a bunch of priests, and you had the high priest. But what that would change, you know, whenever that high priest died, the next one come in line. But what the after the order of Melchizedek, that never changed, man. The Lord's been the high priest forever, really. You know, in the heavens, because remember all the things that the priest made was shown unto Moses, like the temple, the altar, everything that was inside the temple is as it is in heaven, let it be done on earth. So all that was there's a heavenly priesthood, right? There's a heavenly temple, so to say, and all that is replicated here on earth. The Lord, Yahushua, he's been the high priest in the heavens, so he knows all of that. The Levitical priesthood only could get it through, you know, through the generations passed down unto them. All right, so they would change it after a while, because it was being passed on by mouth, so to say. But what Yahushua, he knew it, all right, because what he like he said, I'm not from beneath, I'm from above. He knew how the heavens work, how exactly it's supposed to be, all right, because what he's the first priest, or the first high priest. Go ahead.
Verse 20 says, wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto the Most High by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens.
That's Yahushua, all right? He was, like the scripture say, he was made a little, you know, in the flesh, he was made a little lower than the angels. But what? Ultimately, he's higher than all that. He's higher than the angels. All right? He's higher than everything you see, really. Okay? He is literally, you got Yahweh and then you got Yahushua. That's the order. Okay?
Because Yahushua made everything. Nothing was made except for by Yahushua.
Exactly. Because all things is by him, for him. Go ahead.
Verse 27, who needeth not daily as those high priests.
Because in the Levitical priesthood, they would do daily sacrifices, daily offerings, peace offering, this offering, and then the atonements, and so on and so forth. But go ahead.
To offer up sacrifice first for his own sins.
Mm-hmm. So they're going to show you reincarnation, as he was perfect when he was Yahushua, but he offered himself up for his own sins first. Go ahead.
And then for the people's.
Which goes back to what the priest would do. The high priest would first offer up for their sins, and then for the people's offerings they would bring in. Go ahead.
For this he did once, when he offered up himself.
So he only had to do it once, not every day. Okay? And that was the last sacrifice that he did once. Go ahead.
For the law maketh men high priests which have infirmity,
Mm-hmm.
but the word of the oath, which was since the law, maketh the Son who is consecrated evermore.
Because the Lord is spoken about in the law. Moses spoke about him. The prophets spoke about him. Okay? That's why he said, lo, I come in the volume of the book. All right? The Lord has been set up as the high priest since the beginning. Before the law was even established, he was already, because what? Melchizedek. That was long before the priesthood. Long before the laws was written on tablets. Okay? I'm going to go to Hebrews 9. Jump to Hebrews 9. And I'm just, because there's a lot of meat in this one, but I'll start at verse 9. Hebrews 9 and 9. it says, I start now. Which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience. So even the priests weren't made perfect through these sacrifices they were doing. You went off, you still weren't made perfect through your sacrifice. You know, you went off, so you brought a dove to the priest. You know, you weren't made perfect through that.
Kind of, if I can say this real quick, another reason why, because if you break one,
Come on.
you're guilty of them all. So it's no way you can keep up with the.
Then you're gonna break another one.
There's no way you can keep up with the measurement of sin. Your sin is always gonna outweigh your sacrifices. So that's why they was never made perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, through their sacrifices.
Verse 10, it says, which stood only in meats and drinks, in diverse washings, in carnal ordinances, which is ceremonies. It says, in carnal ordinances imposed on them until the time of reformation, which was Yahushua. Verse 11, but Hamashiach, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, because remember, you had the temples, you know, Solomon's temple, you know, that's where you would take the offerings, and that's where the priests were, you know, the Holy of Holies, those were made with hands. So that's why the Lord said, I dwell not in temples made with hands. Because the Lord was that sacrifice, and the new temple, the new tabernacle is the elect. All right, beginning with Yahushua, which is the chief cornerstone, like the brother mentioned earlier. All right, verse 12, it says, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. There you go, man. he entered into the holy place once, okay? Meaning that's where they would do the sacrifices. The high priest would do the sacrifices. So he entered to there once, giving us eternal redemption, okay? Verse 13, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean, remember we talked about that earlier, how the priest would sprinkle the blood of the sacrifice on the people. It says, and heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Hamashiach, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to the Most High, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living power. There you go, man. So the blood of the goats and the calves and all that, the blood that was on you, that wasn't doing a damn thing for you, man. Because you would still go off. You know, now we cover through the blood of Yahushua, and we don't willingly sin no more, man. You know, that's why the Lord really wanted to do away with that law, because you had niggas growing lambs just to make a sacrifice to, man. They had cages of pigeons, which are doves, okay? Just so when they went off, they could go sacrifice them. You know, now we had a blood of Yahushua, okay? Which is far greater than the sprinkling of the old sacrifices. I got some up?
Yeah, because like your brother said, you know, because the sprinkling of those sacrifices, check, I mean, how sincere is that? You know, but a man willing to give up his own blood, his own body, that's very sincere.
There's no greater love than a man lay down his life for his friend.
You know, you don't really care too much about a dove or just an animal.
Probably
slice his neck.
Probably caught it earlier that day.
Yeah, like man, I'm just gonna kill. You know, you don't. But a man to actually feel the pain of that sacrifice, that's why that was a worthy sacrifice. That's why it was so sincere.
Acceptable.
And acceptable. You know, it was a sincere.
Even before the Yahushua did that sacrifice, the Lord wasn't accepting your sacrifices.
Yeah.
He wasn't accepting them a long time ago.
Yeah, David said that.
That's what I'm saying. Your sacrifices, you were just killing innocent animals at that point, yo.
Exactly. David said, I would offer up sacrifice, but thou desires not in him. You know, roughly paraphrased.
Yeah, and that's why the Lord said obedience is better than sacrifice. Because you obey, you ain't gonna have to sacrifice, man. That's why sacrifice is not gonna be part of the new covenant, the new covenant, because we're not gonna go off. You know, maybe the other nations would have to do that, you know, but as far as Israel, we're not going to be sacrificing no animals, man. Because we're going to be perfect.
We don't ever sin.
Exactly.
Real quick, I'm going to read through this. The point is at verse 7, but this is Romans 5:1. It says, therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with the Most High through our Lord Yahushua, by whom also we have access by faith into his grace, wherein we stand, in hope of the glory of the Most High. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of the Most High is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which is given unto us. And this is the point. For when we were yet without strength, due time, Yahushua died for the ungodly. Verse 7. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die. So he said he died for the ungodly, but he said for scarcely for a righteous man will one die. You know what I mean? So a person wouldn't even die for a perfect dude, let alone, but Yahushua died for the sinners, man. The ungodly. Come on, that's, bro. Man, that's heavy. It says, for scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet peradventure for a good man some would even dare to die. You know? It says, but the Most High commended his love toward us, because it's saying he loved us first. Right? How did the Most High love us first? Why? Because he sent his son. When we were Gentiles, what said millions from the Commonwealth of Israel. We didn't even know nothing about Yahweh Shem Yahushai and what he sent his son. I'm talking about this incarnation, of course. But he sent his son 2,000 years ago for these times, man. It says, and that while we were yet sinners, Yahushua died for us, much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from the wrath through him.
Right? Be saved through the wrath through Yahushua. Because of his sacrifice. Not because of the sacrifice of goats. Right?
Yep.
This is back in Hebrews 9 and 15. Yeah, 15 says, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, because remember you have to have, for a covenant to be established, you have to have a sacrifice. All right? Something got to die for the covenant to be established. It says, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. So the word was called Israel. That's why the Lord said, many are called, but few are chosen. All right? The whole nation of Israel is ultimately called to come serve the Lord. And then ultimately, all of Israel is going to receive that inheritance. But it's like a trickle-down effect. The blood of Yahushua is first going to cover the elect. Then the rest of the 1/3. And then the 2/3 get it, you know. But they're going to get it in the kingdom. But right now, they're going to get the wrath of the Lord.
Yeah.
Like the brother read about the wrath.
Yeah.
You know, look, 2/3 are going to eat of that wrath, you know. But they're going to know that through death by pain, you know. So they still going to receive some of the mercies of the Lord. They just got to learn the hard way, you know. Verse 16. I'll read a couple more verses here. Make sure I really finish this whole chapter. But I'll read a couple more verses. And anybody got anything else? Right, because I'll read a couple more verses, then jump to chapter 10, and we'll finish on that first verse. All right, so Hebrews 9 and 16. For where it says, for where a testament is, or a contract, this is another word for it, covenant. All right, for where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. So that for a testament to be enacted, there has to be the death has. That's why the Lord made that whole law of sacrifice, man. Okay, that's why the Lord told Abraham to go put his son to death, which is, if you could receive it, Yahushua. But it was not that time for that blood to be shed. That was precious blood. That goes to show you it wasn't the time for it. That time would come years down the road, you know. Verse 17, for a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all, whilst the testator liveth. So, like we said, the Lord told that leprous man to go do that sacrifice or offering, whatever, because what? The Old Testament was still in effect. Because what? Yahushua, which was the testator, was still living. And as it said, it says, otherwise it is of no strength at all, whilst the testator liveth. So the New
Yeah,
Testament
yeah.
wasn't wasn't even brought forth yet, because the testator, which was Yahushua, the mediator, was still alive. All right. So after he died, that was that sacrifice, and then then the law of sacrifice was done away with. Go ahead.
Because physically, the second covenant isn't established yet. You can say spiritually, because why? Yeah, we go off, but we still covered. We perfect through Yahushua. So it just hasn't physically manifested itself. We're not physically in that second covenant yet, man. But we are covered by Yahushua. Through Him, we are perfect. Through Him, we have no sin. That's why we're not going to die if we believe in Him.
And that, again, that's why he told the man to go give that offering, man, because the law was still in effect, and it's the New Testament is the same laws, minus one.
Yes, the sacrifice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the New Testament hasn't even been fulfilled yet. That's gonna be the New Testament is when it's in us. That's the fulfillment of it. But I can keep going there, but we'll end on this. This is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 1. For the law is a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect.
So the law is a shadow of Yahushua.
A shadow of things to come.
Because he came and
fulfilled it. And then ultimately, in the kingdom of heaven, it's gonna. That's when the law is gonna be fully fulfilled as far as all of Israel. So going back to make it a big loop. All right, going back to the beginning. That's why the Lord told that leprous man to go give that offering of sacrifice, because what? The Lord was about the law. He didn't do away with the law. He didn't come to establish his own will. He came to do the will of the Heavenly Father and establish his law. That's why he kept it perfectly. All right? And that's why he sacrificed himself, because he understood that was the only way the New Testament could be established. All right? So any brother got anything else? So with that, we want to give all praise, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, B'chak,
the ones to the elder apostles, great millstone. Salutation, much love, be God. Shalom.
Shalom.